יפ. תחבר לחשמל שלו יהיה.
סבבה, תודה. Flow. I have a bad news for you. You're a judge. Go sit at the table.
Why?
To write down your comments and ask questions. And look good in the camera. You need the laptop? Why you need? Why? And everything is live on Facebook. Or me instructing him like, go to the final chat. Look. Roman Mandalay joined. Hey Roman, what's up? Why it's like this?
Who knows what all this is?
אתה רוצה לצלם? פשוט להחליק כמה...
You have like flyers for takeaway food and restaurants and printing, okay? Junk mail, right? Who gets this at home? Who throws it out to the garbage immediately? Who doesn't like that? All right. So nobody, it's consensus more or less, nobody likes junk mail, right? Now, I've lived in Holland many years, and there's this sticker that you can call the city and order one of these two stickers. It means you don't want to receive junk mail. You can order this one and you don't receive junk mail and you don't receive local newspapers, or you can order this one and you don't receive local junk mail, but you do receive local newspapers. Now, this is by law, so it works. On top of that, over there, if you have a business for yourself and you do want to advertise, you can't just go around putting flyers in people's mailboxes. You have to go through a central company that you give flyers to them and they distribute the flyers. Okay, so works beautifully. No junk if you put one of those stickers on your mailbox. I've always wanted to bring this to Israel and to the world, and I thought, well, making laws is not my thing. I'd rather find another way to achieve the same purpose. So I thought, how about incentivizing both parties, the advertiser and the mailbox owner, to play by certain rules. Okay, so at first I thought, well, I could put in some kind of QR on my mailbox that allows the advertiser to advertise to me electronically in some other means, and maybe if they have this electronic means, then they'll choose that rather than the physical leaflets. But the problem with that is that if I put some kind of sticker with a QR, then they don't need to come to my house the next time. They can just advertise to me even the next day, or they can even use these QRs to give out and sell them as mailing lists to other spammers. So you've actually made the problem worse. Okay, you've not solved physical spam, and you're getting more electronic spam. So if it's static, QR won't work. There's two other options. You can have some kind of device that either changes the QR or does some kind of dynamic token generation, or that you put in your mailbox, for example, or some kind of Bluetooth device that if somebody comes to your mailbox, they can drop mail into your mailbox, but in an electronic way, and when you come home to the Bluetooth device, it downloads to your phone. That's one solution. The problem with that is that it requires this device. Even if it's a cheap device, okay, if it's only $5 or $10, this is not the mass adoption type of things that people want. If you want mass adoption, you need to download it and be ready with it. Now, I've been working on a solution to this in the crypto world, where I designed an app that is location-based, and you open it up, and it gives you all the localized advertisers around you, and you can select. You can go through the list, and you can select which advertisers are interesting for you and which aren't. This would be by the distance around you. You can also select by categories. For example, only supermarkets within 2-kilometer range of my location, and things like that. So if you, for example, you see this list and you want to check out what the AMPM has to offer, you enter the AMPM page, and it shows you their current leaflet. Okay, so this is the last leaflet that they've sent out to people in their mailboxes, and you can see what's inside. There's 42 items for $162 pesos. This is crypto that you can gain by viewing these ads. Okay, so if you do the entire leaflets, the 42 items, you'll get 168 pesos. This is a token based on Ethereum. What would happen technically is when the advertiser sends the leaflet, they would send this amount of money to an Ethereum contract, and the money in the contract can only be withdrawn by the viewer of the ad when they have the hash of the ad, so that they can provably show that they have received the ad and viewed it. This means that the advertiser only pays for ads viewed. There's no money wasted on ads not being viewed, such as with these leaflets where you just airdrop 10,000 of these and hopefully maybe 100 would get used for something. So this allows you to have an advertising method which saves the environment, opt in, because the user decides whether they're interested in receiving push notifications from this advertiser, and you can get money from it. Okay, the advertiser might want to use such a system because he would be getting better direct advertisements. So users viewing his ads are people who have opted into receiving ads from him, and so these are better leads. These people are actually viewing the ads, whereas this might not work as well. So so what you would do is you would install this app, and you would get a sticker on your mailbox that you stick on your mailbox, and when the advertiser comes by and sees it, he'll recognize that you use the app and you'd rather receive things electronically than not. You can define as the user to only allow advertisements to be sent to you if they have attached money to it. So you don't get anything without any money if you're not interested. However, there's still going to be the people who are going to go, hey, wait a minute, I'm not interested in receiving ads at all, but this guy insists on coming to my house and leaving leaflets in my mailbox. If this guy has made it all the way to my house, I might as well let him leave something for me electronically. Okay? So what this does is it prevents spam by making the advertiser pay for your attention. I'm also creating another anti-spam mechanism, which is proof of location. If you've made it to my location, if you've come to my house, and if you're about to drop in something in my mailbox, okay, you can send it to me electronically and I'll receive it immediately. And this is Bubbles. Okay, this is the new concept. Okay, what's happening here is we're using a standard Wi-Fi router to create wireless networks around you with a certain token. Just a minute.
Good.
Okay.
2 minutes. And we seem to have Wi-Fi troubles as well.
Okay. What you're seeing here is this phone on the screen. And over here you can see a list of the Wi-Fi networks. Okay. Are we getting bubbles?
Yeah, we're also having Wi-Fi
Okay,
trouble.
I'll explain what the concept is. Okay, you have a bubble around you in your house, right? It's your Wi-Fi network. And it's somewhat similar to the physical mailbox that you have in your house, that people can leave stuff in. If you reach it, okay, so you have your mailbox in your house. It's a sort of statement to the world saying, hey, this is where I live. I'm even leaving my full name on the mailbox for you, and you can even use it as you wish, whether I'm okay with it or not. I'm sort of electronizing, electronic, whatever, the physical mailbox. So I'm creating an electronic version of the physical mailbox. I'm not doing email, not electronic mail, an electronic version of a physical mailbox. What you see here, this is this phone right here, and you can see there's a Wi-Fi network around it with a token 372.856.bar, which is the username, and bubbles.one is the domain name. Okay? What we have here is another phone, which you'll see in a second. Okay, so this is this phone, this is this phone.
30 seconds.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, the
Basically, we made a client that using this
Okay,
token
so
and
so we have this phone, and this phone is currently scanning for wireless networks. Okay, it's gonna. This is the app we've made. Okay, it's gonna scan for wireless networks. And
Keep
it's
it
gonna
close to
retrieve.
the-
Okay, so this is this router. This is the standard Cisco router, which has a special firmware on it. It's called OpenWRT. Okay, well, it should pop up any moment. Right?
yeah, there's tons of Wi-Fi networks here, so we're trying.
See, this token just updated. So this works just like the Google Authenticator. You have a token which
Start
updates
the
every
Wi-Fi.
30 seconds. It's a digital token. It's actually running the actual open source code
What's
for
that
Google
color?
to generate
I'm only
these codes.
bullshit.
Are we live?
Mine.
No, wait. We've sort of been kind of killing this router
It's frustrating.
for like the past 24 hours. We've been making it generate many networks and restarting and many.
Oh, that's
many
what you
times.
don't have internet.
It might be a little tired now. So, are we finding anything?
Guide for
No,
science.
can.
Who has the Wi-Fi name Troll? Maybe it's you guys?
כן, אנחנו מחוברים לזה? אוקיי.
Okay, let's switch projects.
Okay.
Okay, so we could go back to it. Yeah, like what?
Okay, you got your thing? You got
I'll give you
your thing?
רגע, זה טוב לצו ההרחקה, לא?
Yeah, 2 minutes to
Can.
see if it works. I'll show what the project or...
Yeah.
לא צוחק.
Do you need like a few seconds or quite
לפי טלפון אפשר לדעת אם בן אדם היה אצלי באזור?
It's not what I want.
זה לא ההפך.
What do you need?
יפה, יפה, היה טוב.
הם
לתבוע.
הם עושים משהו שמאפשר לך להוכיח
Judges,
כן, זהו.
ישר מתחילה לחשוב.
יש עלייך צו הרחקה, אז פשוט תכבי את הטלפון.
לא, אבל הוא לא ידע. הוא לא ידע.
כן,
So,
יכול לעקוב אחרי אנשים באופן כללי. אבל
so the embassy, as you know, is an open source project. At least it prides itself trying to be offline and open source at the same time. And I'm going to talk until they try to fix their presentation so I can give them a chance to show the judges if it's working or not, okay?
אלון, יש?
I just want to show a project. It was the server didn't work then. What we did is, because we have this place and it's run by volunteers and it's just open and closed whenever people come most of the time, we wanted to know who's in the network. So we actually did something similar. We tried to find who's online and on the router. And as you see, it was pretty hard. We didn't finish that. That team did. It's their focus. But we did a physical sign that hangs on the embassy door. And it says if the embassy is closed or open. As you can see, this is the inside of the embassy. And the embassy is currently open. It's facing outside. It says open. Right? And when I actually turn that sign to the other side, right now it's closed. Okay? All we are, yeah, this is a fairly simple thing, but I think it will make our life easier because nobody knows if the embassy is open.
יש לזה סאונד גם? It's with sound or just video?
I think just the video.
Until
Now,
Ofir comes
we
in
want
with
to know who's inside, and we're going to have that on our site. Hopefully, you will be able to see
They are
what each
finishing and
ambassador
then
sees the icon.
Until Ofir comes up, next one is Bitwell by Zach and Eva. Zach? Zach, you're going to have your timer on the left, okay? Zach, you're going to have your timer on the left. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a little harder than VGA.
So this is my third hackathon so far, but favorite and my first presentation. A couple of days ago, I realized with this whole Bitcoin price high, but if something happens to me, my bits are lost forever. And anyway, I needed to take them out from the old wallet where they are stored. So I said, okay, I need to go to embassy. And this morning, yesterday's morning, I was looking Facebook and I saw one from hackathon, which I completely forgot. So I called the yard and he said, okay, come. And while I was on my way, I already have several ideas. So one of them was, I want to do something to transfer my bits to someone who can make use of them, or someone who will use of them to learn how to use them for a good cause when I die. So I explained it to AI. He says, okay, it's a very good idea, but computer doesn't know you are dead. I said, okay, he does know in 100 years I'm dead. Okay, dead man switch. Okay, we need to hook up you with a programmer. So fortunately for me and for us, there was Zach, and what we made is a bit wheel. Every bit counts, and what it does in 3 simple steps, you can make your future transaction for your beneficiaries. If you change your mind at any step, you can go to your wallet and transact this money back to yourself. Any questions?
I have a question. What happens if something happens to you? You know, you assume that you're going to be there in 100 years, but what happens if something happens to you? God forbid, next year, what happens?
No, okay, let's be reasonable. I'm not setting it for 100 years, I'm not that young. Making reasonable time. And I'm setting it for several people. If the first one is not claiming it, in a certain amount of time, second one comes in and so on. If nobody claims it, it goes back to mines.
זה מתחדש, it renews. It's a switch. You keep, as long as you push it, it doesn't.
So for how long do you do it? Like, for how long do you put your...
You have to explain.
I haven't thought about it, but like a year. I want, you know,
Zach, maybe
it's not that much money to burden myself. If it would be some like a serious amount, I would be like more cautious.
It's just clear that it's. I think you're going to talk about the technical. Zach is going to.
Yeah, Zach is going to demonstrate how it works.
We wrote it. There's a website.
It's already
and it
working.
Just explain how the switch works in terms of.
Like I am going to my wallet, making a transaction to my beneficiary without signing it, and then I take this code and with our platform transform the 4 last bits to the timestamp. I want to be released, and then I go back to my wallet, and this person will get this transaction at certain time. If I won't cancel it.
So we've got a website, and there's like a place where you can put a transaction, and you say how many days in the future you want that transaction to become spendable. And then the website gives you, it edits the transaction a little bit using the nlock time. So now that transaction won't be spendable until way in the future.
How do you give the transaction to the beneficiary?
You sign it and then email them. However you want. You
Sign it
text them.
with, okay, to an address that he gives you. So you need an address to transfer.
So say you're my beneficiary. I would write a transaction that sends you all my money.
To what? The address that
To
I
your
give you?
address.
The address that I, okay.
Then I would take that transaction, it's not signed, and I would put it on the website I made, and it would update the nlock time portion of the transaction so that you can't claim the money until a year in the future. I would sign it and give it to you so that when the year is up over, you can get the money.
And before the year is over, you would just move the money once to keep holding it.
Correct.
If you don't want to.
If I'm still alive, I would move the money so you can't get it, and then I'd set up a new will another year in the future for you.
Another transaction.
So bitcoins won't get lost.
Any worry that this could be motive to kill you?
Like any inheritance, like any
Relative,
inheritance.
yeah.
And we wrote a whole documentation about how to avoid that situation. The idea is that there's a list of people.
He is naive and young.
5 days later, the next person has access to the money, and then 5 days later, the next person. So the people, your heirs, don't know if they're first, second, or third. You can see on blockchain.info, I made a transaction, and it's got a lock time right here.
I'm showing from computer because
Here's what the website looks like for now. You say how far in the future, and then please answer an example transaction. The last 4 bytes of the transaction encodes the lock time. So this website replaces the last 4 bytes of wherever you get it with the timestamp at the time you want.
And can you show quickly the protocol you wrote for avoiding being killed?
Yeah, I explained right here.
Okay. So what should I do to not get killed?
You've got to have multiple people, and you don't tell them who's first, and you don't tell them about the other people, so that they can't like come together and figure out who's first.
so if you will be really nice to me, you might inherit something if I get to retrieve from my work. How about that?
You made us right to judge it. Wait, so how does that help if you don't know, but each heir knows that they're one of the heirs, right?
Well, because if you kill the person, then there's a pretty big chance that you won't even get their money. It'll go to someone else.
Like מלאכתם של צדיקים נעשית בידיהם. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to put it in HTML. It's open source, and there will be a Facebook page for it, and people will be able to use it like in no time. They already can use it. We just need to do some like grassroots work to explain people how it works. And there is no such a thing.
I decoded the Bitcoin transaction here. You can see the timestamp. Also, the timestamp on blockchain.info. So I think we covered everything.
Bravo.
Thank you very much, Zach and Eva. Beautiful. Next stop is social finance by Alon God. Alon?
I just want to say something before Alon talks. I'm the only non-technical guy here now. And I'm an architect. It's funny that I'm the tech guy, because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so forgive me.
אייל טופה.
איך היה? מה, זה מצולם? אני אוכל לראות את זה?
Alon, your honor is on the left.
Thank you very much, everyone. The embassy sponsors is a really pleasure and honor to be here.
started building an implementation to BIP45, which is the way to standardize the change address for an M-of-N wallet. For those of you, if there's any of you who don't know, M-of-N wallets are wallets that require signatures, that accept signatures from, let's say, 3 people, but only require, let's say, 2 people to make the transaction. So we came up with a bunch of cool use cases for it. This has been in use for years now, but we wanted to make something that's going to be made specifically for it, made accessible and easy. The reason for that is I consider myself a citizen of the Bitcoin currency, and last month, finally, I convinced my parents to invest in some Bitcoin. So probably many of you have came across these kind of problems. You get a picture on WhatsApp of the backup seed. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't work like that. Now you got to redo it, and so I figured out there must be an easier, better way to do it. And I think M-of-N wallets are the way to do it. By trying to make this app work, which we didn't quite connect the interface into the code, but we made some basic code that does the change address. But trying to do that, I was lucky enough to work with Oad. That's his first time using Bitcoin. He got the whole process of like backing up on a paper backup and becoming like a citizen, a new citizen of the currency himself. And luckily in a time where you can actually see your money appreciate, that's always fun. And also with Guy that figured out like the code base for Node.js and for using the Kolu SDK and figuring out how to use the Bitcoin protocol. And I think that's a huge win to increase the Bitcoin community and citizenship count. Some of the use cases that we found that we know of M-of-N wallets are, say, family savings. You give one to your parents, one to a good friend or a brother, and you keep one for yourself. It makes you more secure because you gotta hack several devices to steal someone's money. And it also makes you more disaster-proof. Like you're less vulnerable to fires, floods, thefts, physical thefts. And also it adds an aspect that makes your financial decisions better. Because if you're breaking your savings account, you want the people you value, the people you care about, to be a part of this decision in some cases. Parents, loved ones, etc. So this is one example. The second example is like a child account. Having full control of your funds is great. But for some use cases, if you want your 6-year-old to start using Bitcoin, you might not want him to buy weapons online just yet. So that's another really fun use case.
Actually, they already do it. Amazon and that stuff, and they order online.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not, toys, but they already use parents' devices.
Parental control, right. So all of this is possible through M-of-N. We came up with a mock-up for the design for the app. It's not yet clicked. I assume that finishing it would take several more days of work, but this is the vision, and if you guys like it, someday we'll finish it and you guys will use it. Very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alon. Are you guys continue with it, or are you going to do something afterwards?
I think we'll get a long, nice nap. Think about it.
נדב, טיימר שלך בצד ימין. אני.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Nadav. I'm a software developer and the founder of Bitrated. And for this hackathon, I wanted to learn and experiment with some new features that were recently added to Bitcoin, specifically new features that are related to dealing with time. BIP68 and BIP112 that were recently added soft forking to Bitcoin about half a year ago. And new opcodes allow us to lock output for a predetermined amount of time, either by timestamp or by the number of blocks. And it's a framework that's been enforced by the entire Bitcoin network, so no one can move the funds outside of it sooner, not even the one created. So the handicap principle in evolutionary theory suggests that in order to make, in order for someone to make a reliable signal, there must be some trust that he bears for making the signal, so that to ensure that the signal is remain reliable and not being misused or abused by other people. Applying this idea to Bitcoin, what we can do. So applying this handicap principle to Bitcoin, we can let users unlock the Bitcoin as a way of doing a sacrifice. They will basically take a Bitcoin and lock it for some set amount of time, and we look at how many Bitcoin they locked, how many Bitcoin they locked basically, if someone takes one Bitcoin and locks it for 10 days or 10 Bitcoins and locks them for a single day, they're the same cost. And this kind of proof can be used to build trust for online identities, for example, in marketplaces or as an anti-spam measure for forums or wikis, where spammers sometimes create thousands of fake accounts in order to spam it with links and all kinds of stuff. And something like that would make it very costly to create new identities over and over again all the time. And specifically what I was working on for this hackathon is the voting system that uses the probable time lock as a way to give weight to the vote. And basically a way to give Bitcoin, the Bitcoin currency holders a say over the state of the protocol, to assess the community sentiment over all kinds of different issues, like we're seeing today with the scaling debate. And it works pretty well for voting because it adds some cost to the act of making the vote. It's not free. You have to consider if you're really willing to do this. And it shows that you have a vested interest in Bitcoin. The act of locking the coins, so for example, if you take 100 Bitcoins and lock them for 2 years, that's a really big say. It means that you have those Bitcoins and you can sell them for the next 2 years, and you have an interest in the long-term viability of Bitcoin. And the more you're willing to go wrong, the more that your vote counts. So, demo that I made. Basically a voting website where you can see all kinds of different questions. For example, should segment be activated? And you can see the list of people who voted yes and the list of people who voted no. One of them, how many Bitcoins you locked up and for how long. And the total score that each, and the total score that each option gets is the multiplication of the days and
תשתמש בשיעור
amount of
כזה
Bitcoin.
לפגישה שלנו. לפני שאתה שווק לו כל זה.
For example, I want to go, it should be activated. I can say that I want to make a deposit of, let's say, 50 Bitcoin for example, 60 days. The refund address is where I want the funds to be sent back to me. Then it produces this pay to script hash address for me. This address so what it basically works is that the user sends from his own wallet, from his mobile wallet, into the address that the website created for him. And any funds that are sent into this address are going to be locked there for 30 days, kept in the cloud until the time passes, and then they're released again. So if I want to vote, it's all tested, by the way. So no need to be careful to the town.
More dramatic.
Huh?
So it shows you the question, you vote, the amount of Bitcoins times the days, and this is the transaction that will release the Bitcoins back to you. Basically, on the time local address back into the refund address that you provided. Now the signature isn't valid. It's not going to be valid for another 8640 blocks. And the server also keeps a copy of it and waits for the timeout to pass and then send it to the network, but the user is advised to keep his own copy of the transaction for obvious reasons. And that's it. You can see now that less one a minute ago, the one that we just added. Another example of question is a bit more answer. And as an alternative for those who wouldn't trust, I personally probably wouldn't trust a website for a big amount of Bitcoin. So I also created an alternative CLI tool for people that want to do that. Instead of trusting the website, they can download the local software tool. It looks like that. You lock, you determine the duration, how many blocks it's going to be locked for, your refund address, a message that that's attached to the sacrifice act. It's pretty similar to the web interface, but much more secure, I would say. This is the technical. So here we can see that start the payment, it gave me my refund transaction. And in addition to that, it also gave me a proof. It's based on object right here. It's a proof that I can share with anyone and show him that I made this sacrifice. We would verify it if using script, which is verify. Then you can tell us what's the exact value of the sacrifice, how many Bitcoin they lost, Bitcoin they lost, sorry, the message is committed over, and the
Freudian slip.
that was where the money is.
Thank you very much. We would like to give a few minutes to the project with the technical problems.
Questions? No questions?
Oh, questions.
Questions.
Sorry. Yeah, judges, questions.
I prefer decentralized by the service, server, or decentralized?
It is a centralized server, but all mentioned, you can also download these as a tool. You can install locally on your computer and do it.
Do you do the weighing by the total duration of the lock or the amount of time it remains until it unlocks?
By the total amount. It doesn't matter. From the moment you created the transaction that locks it, say for 100 days, you get the full weight of the whole 100 days. You're already committed to the sacrifice date. So it doesn't really matter how much time passed. I think we believe it in if you think otherwise.
Were the 2.5% were
You have to make sure that you can vote for both options. So.
Two. Wow.
Testnet money.
Why did you add the message there, like the string at the end?
The message?
Yeah.
So the basic CLI tool and the library, they are in a voting specific. Basically just do the act of sacrifice and you attach a message to the act. This message can be your vote, as I'm using over there, or it could be, for example, a public key that belongs to you that you want to buy some reputation for. And then, for example, instead of signing over one vote, you could do the sacrifice to give some voting power to a public and then use this public key to vote on all kinds of different issues. It's an alternative mechanism. But the CLI tool and the library is, they only really care about proof of order, as I call it. The voting is just the web interface on top of it. It's being used.
Thank you very much, Nadav. We'll give it a couple of minutes for Bubbles.one to do their demo, as previously we had some technical difficulties. Are you ready, Ofir?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So I'll first show you what the finished product should look like, somewhat like that. Okay, you would be approaching an area with bubbles, okay, and the bubbles are the Wi-Fi networks around you. And you would be getting a list of... you would be getting a list of your bubbles, so we have the fans here, that's my place, the bitemBassy, they're around. You have the Nakamoto's, and family Cohen. And you would tap any of them, and you would get an option to send them a message, and only if you're within the range of their wireless network, you would have the right token, and the user would receive the messages that have been sent. Okay, so this is the mock-up. Now, here's what it looks currently. Okay, I'm just reminding you of what I showed you before. I showed you a bunch of wireless networks with a token in front of them and a username. This app, this is this phone, this app is currently scanning to see which users' names are available. You are seeing doubles here, but that's because it takes, you can use any of the tokens to send a message. I'm gonna type along. Okay, it's one of the users. And I'm gonna send a message. Okay. Hi. Alon. Okay, and I'm gonna send. Okay, and the message has been sent. Now this is now being sent to the server, which is verifying that the attached token is the correct token via the Google Authenticator algorithm, and only then would deliver the message to the client. Okay, so I'm going to open the client here. Okay, and we send it to Alon, right? And we're going to sign in. There we go. Alon, you have one message from bitemBassy. Hi, Alon. Okay, so this is a message that could only have arrived at your phone if the person has been to your location. Now, as I said before, the use case for this is currently that we're trying to avoid spam in mailboxes, but there could be many other use cases, such as, for example, if you have a FedEx guy delivery coming to your house and you're not home, he can leave a message, an authenticated message that he has been there and that you weren't at home. Or, for example, if you need some kind of a chore done by a dog walker, you want to make sure the dog walker comes to your house and walks the dog through a certain bunch of spots in the city. You can verify that. There are many. Yeah, True proof of location. Proof of location has always been an issue because of GPS spoofing.
Unspoofable
If
proof.
you can spoof GPS, then you have no proof of location. This is the first time you have actual cryptographic proof of location. And the nice thing about this is that the router does not even need to be online. It does not need to be connected to the internet. So you could just buy any router for $20. The cheapest thing you have, you put that in your house and it works as an electronic mailbox. And it's quite secure because people would have to hack into your house. There is no server holding anything. The security architecture of the Google Authenticator can be improved in this case because both the server and the client holds the private key. Things like the trustless authenticator can be used so that only the router holds the private key and the server will hold a public key. So it's really, it's true proof
Let's
of
give
location.
a couple of minutes for questions. Anyone?
Yeah, questions.
Judges?
Yeah, so what do you do with the problem of people simulating, in the case of the, where you hash, you have the person receiving the advertisement hash the advertisement and use that to release their payment? How do you prevent them from simulating that they displayed the advertisement?
Okay, you're talking about Prezo, the non-proof of location thing, money-based, okay. You could do things like fun interactive questions within the ads. For example, after a few CAPTCHA style things, only CAPTCHA is horrible. You want fun interactive, like multiple choice questions about the ads you've seen every once in a while. You could do that. Okay, so yeah, these are two big issues with Prezo. It's like how do you prevent gaming and how do you prevent spoofing? So that's spoofing. Gaming is more of a social
Next
thing.
hackathon.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm the pizza competitor of the other pizza company that's publishing it. So I could spoof a whole bunch of tokens which are could I just I mean, how do you know if the guy is spoofing and that in that way you can't really authenticate against one? So I mean, like you could spoof a whole bunch of tokens and then you can't authenticate because you have other tokens.
But the routers are running in residential houses, so you would have to like just put routers all around town.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
you could
difficult.
do that like we have problems with Wi-Fi now. You could just jam the network. It's not a problem.
Yeah, you could do it, but you have to spend a lot of money doing it. Yeah.
Let's say I live in a huge house. How far does the Wi-Fi reach down?
Okay, good question. Good question. The nice thing about this is that it has a network effect. Okay, you don't have to own the router to be getting tokens from the router. Okay, so if you know that there is another person with a router somewhere in the city, you can rely on that as long as you don't think this person is moving routers or he's not there to trick you into things. Okay, so it's a sort of a social trust kind of mesh network effect type of thing that you can use other devices. So for example, in a building, you know that there is a router, there's a bubble at the bottom of your house because you moved around there, and you're telling me, yeah, I'd like to subscribe to this bubble as this username, and if you come to this number and get the token from this bubble, you can send me a message as well. Okay?
And the nature of the idea is that it's just a beacon message, just a packet that says this is my SSID. It's not a real network, so there's not a problem to delegate it to another router and tell them, okay, you send this as well. It's like, it's my token, just send it out.
Okay,
I have a question.
Yeah.
And if it's an optic cable and no router?
It's a what?
Oh, an optic cable. I have an optic cable.
It's this, as long as it's a Wi-Fi network.
And if it's not Wi-Fi?
You can.
Like plug in the optic.
Oh.
The plugins I'm coming next year.
Wireless router to broadcast the signal.
But it doesn't have to be connected to the internet. So you could get a router, like a very simple router, and set it up if you'd like. Or even just like a network adapter that sends these packets. It could be something very simple.
Yeah.
Why do you use the blockchain?
Okay, the use case which I'm presenting here is the whole anti-physical spam prevention. Okay? And the anti-spam mechanism in Prezo is the payment, and I'm adding to that the option for the users to say, well, I would like payment or not, well, two options, payment or physical location. Okay, so it's another anti-spam mechanism for the blockchain payment. I'm thinking just another use case, businesses. I mean, they want to advertise I mean, it's enough that a bunch of businesses would be placing these, and then you can rely on these things to get your location from others. So, I mean, not everybody. One in a few should need to use this for you to be able to subscribe to other locations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Ofir with the demo for Bubbles.one. Next up are Oren and Neely with the news exchange. Right? Neely, come up.
אני אשמח.
נילי או מנוע, השעון שלכם פה מצד שמאל. השעון שלכם מצד שמאל.
אני נילי לרנר, אורן רייך. אנחנו התחלנו לעבוד על פרויקט בסדר גדול, אבל... Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Nili Lerner and this is Oren Reich. We started working on a big project that is actually creating a decentralized news exchange, which would be a decentralized news platform in which users would publish news and comment to news. Now, since we are in the decentralized world, we have to create a decentralized, we had to think of a decentralized economic model to support the platform and reward users on their efforts to make news. So the user would be rewarded with a token, but the token is the means of paying for advertising on the platform. Now, the way to do it, since we don't have a central entity that would create the deals for the users, actually the user itself and the advertiser itself has to create the contract. So for this, we're going to use for now, we're using the Ethereum platform for smart contract to allow each advertiser and each users to create their own contract in real time. It's actually going to be able to be done ahead of time if we like, but also in real time if the blogger, the person that actually create the content, put the content up, the advertiser can actually send a transaction and put an ad on this blog on real time. But this transaction, this contract can be created ahead of time, and it can as well involve a whole structure of investors who would like to actually buy the ad space ahead of time and be the middleman for the bloggers who doesn't want to deal with it, but the power would always be in the hand of the blogger, who is the owner of its own blog, who is the owner of its own article, and would be in power to decide on the deal for the advertising.
Any question?
Yeah, I have a question. So the content will be like, if it's a video content, it could be just the content, just the contract could be on the blockchain, but the content itself is.
Right. The same with the content is how is it done.
I mean. So it's also decentralized.
Yeah,
the content itself.
Everything, the whole process is decentralized.
So how can you do it with like video or like more heavy, like video?
If you want to put videos,
I guess it will make
where you
sense.
store.
You store the hash of the video.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So the video itself wouldn't be.
Or start out with content that doesn't require video.
The way
Oh. אני מישהו רואה את זה.
allows you to advertise and to invest in this ad unit, to buy shares, so that any future income will also be given to you.
You can basically what we're trying to say that you can actually create different type of contracts as the blog owner. Okay, you can decide to involve investors. So let's say I'm starting blogger and I start making interesting news, right? So I said, okay, for the next whatever, I would you can be investing in my ad space. This way, I free my time to actually do all the writing and all the research I want, and I have the investor invested in my ad space here. Okay, so for every ad that is going to be put on my blog, the investor going to get part of it. So there's a lot of way for deals to be done in between peer-to-peer, basically between all the parties, and many structure can be, created for the different parties.
Question. Where is the blog itself stored?
Okay, the blog itself is going to be on...
The skeleton on Ethereum, the files on IPFS.
With pointers like for personal computers?
But eventually it's going to be part of a whole platform that would be a decentralized platform in which you create your entity, and it's the entity that you are making this token for the blog that you do, and then also for anyone who would eventually want to advertise in your blog would have to use these tokens. So it creates value to this token, but it's also a way to have the outside world pay for you without you having to run after them. They are not going to be able to place an ad unless they do the smart contract.
Thank you very much, Neil and Bola. Wow, so many projects, very interesting ideas. I feel like I live in Blade Runner. So we're going to give a few minutes to the judges to gather their thoughts and to convene, discuss, rate, score. We're going to come back in 10 or 15 minutes.
Bye,